It's gonna be a great night tonight.
We're gonna buy the kneecap off.
Do what it do.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Filthy Football Casuals podcast. I'm your co-host Carl. We got Tom and John in the house, boys. How you doing?
Get me off the Steelers wild ride.
Oh, is there a problem? I haven't heard.
There's no problems whatsoever.
No problems.
I mean,
the
you
problems
thought
are
it was the
gone.
off.
The problems
yeah.
have been traded.
You thought it was the off season, John. We're just getting started. You know, you've got something to look forward to every week. It seems.
It's 100% true.
All right, who won free agency?
I mean, the Steelers, right? Obviously.
How could you say no?
I mean,
Yeah.
Jeff Fields, Pickett gone. Yeah.
I mean, that's addition by subtraction, if one will. I kid. We'll talk about it. But no, it's been good. I've been enjoying kind of seeing. I feel like now's the time where you kind of get a feel for like how teams like big names off the board that are available. League year has begun, and now you've got basically teams kind of shaping up what to look forward to in the draft is how I feel things are looking right now, which is fun for me.
I would definitely agree. It's just kind of that pivot point. Like a lot of the splash signings are done. Everyone's got a little something to be excited about, something to hold us over for another month or so. And I've already seen a lot of group chats and discords and everything. Like people are already looking ahead to the draft and pro days this and
Pro days are the most useless like evaluation process, at least as far as like watching their physical skills.
As of recording, Caleb Williams' pro day was today.
God,
was
Take it for what it's worth. It was.
I think the combine's more valuable, even.
Well, I mean, the big thing reminder is he didn't partake in any drills
Right.
and during the combine, and he didn't allow any medical staff. He didn't release his medical stuff to the I guess to the general public that was there. So basically, again, I don't quite understand like everything that happens like at the pro day. But that he was like saving for folks, the folks that came to his pro day to evaluate him is, I guess, like when he would work some medical consent out. So I don't quite know kind of how that plays, like how that works in the league. But again, the fact that like he held himself in such a way where the only time that you could go see him in action is this pro day. So I have not seen how it went. And I'm going to look into that while someone else talks.
I did see one clip that popped up on Reddit today. Oh, look, Caleb Williams throwing a bomb, like unguarded. Oh my goodness, from the 20 to the end zone, crazy.
oh, this is the best when they do routes on air. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man. Yeah. Wow.
With no pads or defenders that exist. Yeah.
Yep. Just taking 6 seconds, kind of dancing around. The
Oh yeah,
pocket. Yeah, it's good stuff.
yeah, it's the silliest thing in the world.
I love the confidence, though. I love the idea of like the competitive. Like, no, I'm not going to let all 32 teams know about my injury history. Like, I'm going to go top 1 or 3 or whatever the presumed. I haven't looked
Well,
at the mock
he's
yet.
going number 1 now.
He's
we know
pretty
for
much,
certain at this point.
Yeah, so
it's pretty, yeah.
as a backup plan, let number 2 and number 3 know what the deal is, just in case. And then, yeah, why would you give anything to the rest of those teams? Yeah, I love it. It's arrogant, maybe, but I don't know.
Gamesmanship.
Yeah, you got to have some of that.
I don't hate it, but I do see where some quarterbacks may feel a little entitled in today's day and age, and we will touch on that in a little bit.
Ooh. Since we're talking combine and all that, has anyone brought up what was that performance testing thing that Brock Purdy killed? It like was the talk of last year's. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, it's like that advanced football IQ test or whatever.
S2.
Oh yeah, the
something.
S2. Yeah, I think that's it.
I forget what it was called, but yeah, I feel like no one's mentioned that at all this year.
Maybe everybody flunked it. Who knows? Nobody aced it this year.
It's supposed to be the new hotness, talking about like how quickly you can process things and make decisions and whatnot. And then someone had a bad score last year, and I feel like that just that was the end of it.
Yeah, but then that person that had a
Interesting.
bad score ended up having like a really good like rookie season. I feel like it was one of the top rookies that ended up having a bad score.
It was, yeah, and that's just kind of, it's like, oh, one player proved it wrong, therefore let's throw the entire thing out the window. It's classic draft. You know?
It was C.J. Stroud, I think, did terrible.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and then he went out and balled the fuck out in Houston, and it's like, oh, well, maybe it's just one part of the toolbox that you could use, and it's like, okay, well, last year it was the tool in the toolbox to use.
It's the new hotness. It's the new everything. It's too high. They're playing too high defense. Oh my god. It's just the new thing. Yeah, no, and maybe this is a little foreshadowing, but yeah, I feel like it's just, there's a million traits and skills you got to have to play quarterback, and that's one of them. It's an important one, but it's not the only one. So it's like, yeah,
Sure.
especially like the with the Wonderlic, you go in there and all these guys that get terrible scores. It's like, how hard are they trying? How much do they care?
Exactly.
Like,
Well, I mean, even like look at the Spark score, right? Like if we're talking about like random like scoring, that's where they combine the 40-yard dash, the agility drill, bench press, like put it all in vertical jump.
Almost for the RAS, but okay.
Say right, it's very right. It's all the same idea, right? And they do like, oh, the insane athleticism, which is true, right? But how many times have we seen athleticism? I would say it's like almost like 50-50, right? Like where like, right, you get these like freak athletes, and yes, it translates to some really good football, or I mean, give them their workout warriors, and it doesn't translate. 'Cause like you're saying, they're not just to the quarterback position, but I mean all positions. Like right there are nuances to these because they are specific roles, and sometimes it's fun to talk about now when we've got nothing else to ramble on about. But yeah, I guess I wonder if how much, and maybe this is like slightly conspiracy theorist, but like how much investment from the companies who make these tests are really like, like the NFL bought in, so therefore like it's something, versus like, all right, we tried to push it, we paid the however it worked, it didn't end up equating to anything, so it's not going to get brought up about. So a thought.
Yeah, I mean, so just real quick, the S2 has been around since 2015. That's how long it's been getting administered. Of course, we don't really hear about it until someone like proves that the test works. But for instance, last year, Bryce Young, who was drafted by the Panthers last year, scored a 98% on the test, and C.J. Stroud scored an 18% on the test. And you tell me who's the better quarterback right now.
There you go. Pattern recognition, decision making, not skills you want in a quarterback. The worse they are, the better they'll be.
And just some quick reading, like the test it's not like a written exam or anything like that. It's literally like a reaction timing test of some sort. It's done on a gaming laptop with like Xbox controller
eye trackers
or something like that.
Too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's basically like a little video game test of sorts. To test your reaction times and processing times and stuff. So clearly it's not an end all be all of anything, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to replace the Wonderlic, for instance, which is like a written test, as I understand.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're saying. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's new and it's data. The nerds love data. Anything we can get, I'll take. But yeah, it's definitely not going to be the one go-to. Even if you're Al Davis, like the 40-yard dash is not a measure of if you're a good player or not.
But it'll be exciting to kind of see what all that translates to come draft time.
I mean, I want to get my hands on this S2 test and take it personally. Same with the Wonderlic. I feel like that would be. Maybe we should do Wonderlic to determine draft order in our fantasy draft this year if we can get our hands on one.
40-yard dash time.
Oh my god.
Oh, just got to pick one test.
Just one of them.
Skin right in.
My money's on Jed getting first overall. It's fast for a big man.
I don't know. My quads aren't what they used to be. But I would certainly that's like you never lose that competitive edge, right? Like what, sometimes you just still feel the fire burning inside, and you just got to go for it.
I'm gonna start training if we decide on doing that. I'm starting now.
It must happen.
What else am I gonna do on Sundays?
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah, just practice your sprints, baby.
Unlike the real league, we're all getting older. There's no young guns coming in to replace us.
Also true.
So
also true.
The quads aren't what they were, but yeah, it's we're gonna have some over 40s, I think, in our league this year. It's gonna be
nice.
Gonna be crazy.
That's fun.
No, Tom,
oh, sorry. I was going to say, speaking of older players, on Sirius XM, James White was good to hear from him. Just speaking of not I don't know. I guess is he like an? I don't know. He's not technically
was he in
old.
The Patriots doc that dropped?
He's probably only 30 years old.
Oh,
I feel like there's a lot of expatriates that have been doing media tours recently.
Yeah,
I mean, he has to be.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Me neither. Oh, that's so fun. Again, like we're saying, right? Like it all kind of meddles in, right? Like you've got these little scores or anyway, right? The NFL's a business. I'm just one of the cogs in this massive machine.
Sure. But do you have anything good to say? I didn't hear the interview.
I know. I mean, he was just more so contributing, and I thought it was kind of interesting. He was just again kind of foreshadowing to the draft and kind of like what made him feel like he was, set him apart from other players. And he was really what they were focusing on is talking about how you'll have different players, and this was actually in relation to like Baker Mayfield was a lot of folks. A lot of fans discredit. I wouldn't say discredit. Don't give enough credit to coaching when it comes to player development, and not just like head coaching, but your assistant coaches, your strength and conditioning coaches, your position, like things of that nature. And he was attributing that he was able to get a lot of X's and O's through a particular college coach who he ended up playing with in the NFL, and that was part of the reason because that particular coach in college made him focus so much on developing his game of understanding football, as opposed to just learning like the running back position, right? Understanding what you're looking at when you line up and you see, how the defense is lining up. If you see, strong side, weak side, things like that, where as opposed to I'm just going to get the ball and I'm just going to high step through whatever hole that they're telling me to go through. Anyway, I thought it was just kind of neat to kind of hear. Speaking of an older, quote unquote, older player, older enough that he's still relevant. That I'm like, oh, James White. But kind of cool to hear him just talking advice as to what he would, or advice for the combine. So.
Yeah, James White is 32. So just. Born in the 90s.
Old, very old.
Old.
It's fucking running backs, of course.
Of course, right?
The youngest retirees of all time.
Yeah, but speaking of that Patriots documentary, I guess did either of you get a chance to check it out? Any interest? I guess.
I honestly didn't even know it dropped.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it in any particular way.
And I'm very excited. I feel like that's would be super fun.
Is it like a story of like their 20-year dynasty? Is that the whole deal?
I honestly don't know. I haven't seen it either. I've been seeing Twitter reactions from a lot of journalists and people I follow. I guess they watched it and their impressions of it. So I don't want to regurgitate too much of it. But yeah, it sounds like it's kind of their later years, like their last 10 or so. But like touches on, like the whole Brady saga and then Belichick leaving and all that sort of, what Kraft's involvement. So I guess an interesting look at that sort of stuff. I guess we ultimately never found out what happened to Malcolm Butler.
It's not in the doc. God damn it.
No. They hint at it, but no one will tell us.
That's all I want to know.
More years. Yeah.
Maybe we have to do a watch party.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some homework to do, it sounds like, for next week.
That sounds...
Maybe instead of a pod one of these Wednesdays, we just watch the show.
Go live on YouTube and...
Yeah.
You know what? I think that could be kind of fun.
Off-season content.
Streaming on Apple TV only. Uh-oh.
That explains why I haven't seen it. I don't.
To the high seas, my boys.
Oh my goodness! Don't let Apple hear you say that. I hope they don't listen to this podcast.
No, I thought that it was ESPN. I think announced, or no, it was Netflix. They're not doing quarterbacks this year, but they're doing receivers instead. It's going to be, I guess, the kind of same take on.
So they're not doing quarterbacks at all. I thought they were doing receivers in addition to quarterbacks.
Maybe I misread it. It sounded to me like they're just doing receivers. I think I saw a story a couple months ago, like they're having trouble finding quarterbacks to come on the show this season.
God. So
no
they're
one was
recording this.
Interesting.
The receivers they announced, is that for they're going to record them in 2024, or they did in 2023, and now we're
I think
gonna
they
see
did.
that. Okay.
Yeah, because it's just like they're mic'd up segments during games, and then they just film some like kind of at home.
Filler, yeah.
Here's the wife and kids.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff, which is cute. Yeah, I feel like the quarterback show didn't really knock my socks off, but it's kind of like Hard Knocks type content, but
Right.
in the summer.
Sure.
So at least it's scratch that itch.
Yep.
It's,
Well, I mean, 2 of my boys are on the show, so I am obligated to watch.
Yeah, you
yeah,
have to,
star
right?
receivers Debo Samuel and Kittle. Your wide back and your
Yeah.
tight end.
Yeah, 2 guys who are not strictly defined as wide receivers
Yeah.
on the Receivers show. Love it.
Completely like I don't want to say off topic. Who had more? And this might sound dumb. So I apologize. Who had more receptions, Kittle or CMC? Right, CMC. I would think.
Kittle.
But did he? Okay, so like that. Okay, so it's not a dumb question. I thought it was obviously going to be CMC, but I have no idea what their reception yard.
I'm guessing, but I mean, Kittle had more receiving yards for sure because he led tight ends in receiving yards. this
Sure.
year.
Well, no,
So
I'm
that's why I
specifically
assume
saying
receptions.
catches.
Yeah, I can fact check that real quick.
Yeah, just right. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm not that off as to thinking that it could be a fair comparison. Not one's running it by a mile, but it is cool to see that again. Receivers starring the beautiful George Kittle.
Let's
Now
see
I'm
here.
excited to see.
Real quick, CMC 27 receptions last year. Or sorry, it's not 27, 67 receptions.
Okay.
A little mild dyslexia. Receptions for George Kittle, 65.
Whoa! All
So
right.
it was close, and CMC has him by 2. So damn.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Kittle had about twice the yards, to be fair, but
I mean, that's it's fine. It is what it is.
he's gonna be farther downfield than CMC is when he makes the catch half the time. So
Yeah. No, for sure. All right. Cool. Okay. So I don't feel so stupid. As that's being.
that was a good question. That would have been good trivia. We should have saved that.
God. It's all right.
Unbelievable.
I'm already loaded for probably an even easier question, but it'll still be fun.
All right.
Other around the league stuff. I see the hip drop tackle being chatted about again.
Mm-hmm.
What are your? I know we kind of mentioned it, but they now have like a penalty that they're proposing.
Personal foul, effectively, is what they're.
That's
or
exactly what it
unnecessary
is.
Roughness.
Automatic first down, 15 yards.
Yeah, if a horse collar is a personal foul, I don't see why a hip drop
Yeah.
shouldn't be, especially
Sure.
for rolling up on a dude's legs. Like that's the big.
Yep.
Trying to take that out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just reiterate, I'm not a fan just because I don't think it'll be enforced consistently. But that goes for every single rule on the rule book, so it's really not much of a change.
If you said that it was only illegal if a dude's leg gets rolled up on,
Yeah, that's the NFL's definition
Yeah.
of it.
is that where they're saying if the leg lands under the body, then we call it?
Right.
You're hip dropping behind someone and you're bringing their weight down on basically on their calves, like their ankles. That's what they're saying is the foul. So you can
Okay.
do your hawk tackle, rugby tackle, whatever, by like throwing your weight to the side and rolling someone. But if you're off to the side, you're fine. But if you
Okay.
land behind and
Okay.
on the back
Cool.
legs, then
Okay.
that's the problem.
Okay, good.
Which I think makes sense.
I do that. Okay, so as long as that, I didn't realize that was in. So yeah, again, well researched here at Filthy Football Casuals. I feel like that's okay. I feel like you as a defender, you have an alternative way to bring guys down. And the biggest thing that you are having to be conscious of is how you do that. I like that. Okay.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't say I'm
can
an
deal with
expert.
that.
I want to see, because usually when the league implements these rules, they do release like videos of like, this is what a hip drop is, this is what we're flagging, this is something that looks like it might be, but this is not it. Like, you know what I mean? They release videos of like, clearly this is the penalty and clearly this isn't. I'll be curious what they release of that, and like I said, I have very little confidence in them to enforce it consistently, but and accurately, but that's a whole
that's
discussion.
almost modern reffing.
Yeah.
To be fair, this is a rule proposal. It's not passed yet either.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Hopefully
Very
we'll
true.
get those videos when they do. I think they will. But
seems to have a lot of steam, and they'll probably, because they've been talking about it for at least a few years now already. So it seems
it's a lot cheaper than replacing the turf. You know,
Is it?
it costs them nothing. Well, little training videos, a couple bucks, and
Right.
yeah,
You can replace the turf for under $1 million. I know this.
start a turf business. Let's
Doable.
get into it. Start pitching them.
Well, I don't know anything about it. I don't know that much. If they can replace a soccer pitch for like $700,000, you can replace NFL stadium turf for.
Are you
probably
getting
the
your
same or
facts
less.
from Welcome to Wrexham?
Yeah, and that's in British. That's in British pounds. So that's even more.
I remember that shit.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
and soccer fields are bigger than football fields, so that's even more turf you're replacing.
Since I already got us off topic slightly,
Yeah,
did you see they announced a red zone for the Olympics this summer?
really. So
With
you get
like
the Octobox.
Scott Hansen and like all of the people who normally do it for the NFL.
Oh my god.
They're gonna be doing it for the
No.
Olympics.
Way.
I'm all-
I'm not a big red zone fan, but that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I am a Red Zone fan, and that sounds incredible.
Watch
Oh,
some nonsense sports and get hyped, and hopefully some octoboxes in there. And yeah,
oh my
I don't know how much it's gonna
god!
cost me, but I'm all in.
Yeah,
All in.
that might be worth the purchase price. Yeah.
Seriously, yeah. Whatever I can do to support that, to have that, definitely. Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna stay outside of Pittsburgh.
We saving
We're,
that?
we're gonna get to that. That's gonna be a whole nother any free. I've got a couple free agents.
The Raiders
that
got
I'm-
one
All right, tell me about
Yeah,
them.
what'd you get?
big. You've probably heard of him, Alexander Madison.
Okay.
Nice,
All right.
He's
He's
a
a
guy.
guy.
Yeah,
He's a guy.
he's a guy.
He's a running back. He can carry the ball. I have no idea how he is in pass pro. I hope he's all right. But yeah, that's the entire Raiders segment.
I mean, he was effectively he was like the guy in Minnesota last year, right? Because they got rid of Cook.
They got rid of Cook and then Latavius Murray too. I feel like Murray and him were kind of like 2A and 2B behind Cook. It was a weird situation, but I never feel like he was bad. He was always kind of like the fantasy name, like, oh, you grab him as the handcuff to Cook, or like you hope,
Right.
something happens. But like, I don't know anything about the actual player or the person, but it's like, oh, a name, okay, it's somebody, cool.
Sure. I mean,
think it's got like
I imagine you'll draft somebody too, just because running backs are, I hate to say it, a dime a dozen of sorts.
they had one on roster. They re-signed Abdullah, and he's the third. So yeah, probably the fourth. And then if he really sucks, cut him in camp. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they got like 20 million left in cap space. So probably another move or two to come, I would think. I don't know what names are left out there. There's nobody huge, I don't think. But yeah, it's nice having a little playing money. What about San Fran?
We've been making a bunch of small signings, just a lot of like depth guys, probably camp bodies ultimately, bringing guys in. No names you'd ever know. So just super depth signings per something I did find interesting per over the cap, and I don't know if this is up to date, but we have more cap space than we did last week. It says 13.3 mil we have. I know we've been having people move money around to restructure contracts, all that fun stuff. I think Hargrave did it, Kittle did it, and I think there's probably a few other guys that
Oh
did
wow,
similar.
you guys are really opening up.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's plans for that, or we're just trying to give some cushion. But as it stands per over the cap, something I do find interesting, we're spending 140.5 mil on offense and 140.5 on defense.
Balanced.
Look at that.
Wow.
Nice and even there. So yeah, no huge moves. Big things, I guess, is that Chase Young signs with the Saints for 1 year, $13 million.
I wanted to bring that up. Yep.
Which I think would get us a comp pick, right? Because we lost him technically free agency, and he did sign with a team for market value, right? So
Ooh.
It depends on where he ranks in the list of all those players, but yeah, I would think likely.
yeah, 13 mil is up there. So I don't know if that makes a threshold, but But I think that's about where we said he would probably worth. Is about that 13 mil range, and that's what he got.
I think we were close, yeah.
Armstead did sign with the Jags, actually kind of getting paid 3-year 43.5. So Jags continue to just
they went nuts. I figured they must have been done, and then they got Armstead too.
Just tossing money about. Jags loading up, trying to make something happen.
Don't call it a dream team.
Yeah. They fell wildly short last year, losing the division ultimately, but. We'll see if loading up actually helps them out. So,
I was just gonna say the Jags are currently you made me also go to over the cap. They are currently the front runners in 2024 free agent spending.
Shocker.
Oh, by a mile. They've got to be close to 9 figures.
So it's not by a mile. Shocking.
Really?
Not by a mile. But yes, the Jags have spent $88.7 million in free agency.
Damn.
Do you want to?
Atlanta?
Atlanta is in the top 10.
Oh.
But the team that's in the team number 2, right? Jags number 1. Team number 2 has spent 21 million more than them, than Atlanta. Do you want to guess who that is?
I don't know.
Pittsburgh.
No. The New England Patriots.
Really?
Who have they signed? I have no idea.
Yeah, that was
They have spent $86 million in free agency.
On who?
That's
I don't
insane.
know. Again, I'm not an over the cap expert. We'll have to dive in, as this is breaking news to me. I'm curious. No, right? Dead money wouldn't apply to that. It says 2024 free agent spending, Patriots, $86 million.
Let's see. Mike Onwenu they signed for 3 years, $57 million. He's a right tackle. I don't know that I've heard that name. They signed Anferny Jennings for 3 years, $12 million. Antonio Gibson. I know that name, and Jacoby Brissett for about $20 million between those two. These are deal totals, of course.
Sure. Yep.
Sion Taki.
Good old Taki.
So Belichick leaves.
KJ Osborne,
Minnesota?
Okorafor. Yeah, Osborne's from Minnesota.
Chukuma Okorafor. Yep.
Yeah,
Former from Pittsburgh guy. Yep.
Austin Hooper from Vegas. Armin Watts from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's a guy.
Nick Leverett, Jalen Rager. I guess that's more of a re-signing. Okay. So yeah, basically, guys.
Bunch of guys. Many men, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, so it's like literally Belichick leaves, and then they're just like, "Oh, we're gonna zag while everybody's zigging," because that's just what New England does.
I guess.
Weird.
Again, on top of that, do you know who is currently leading in cap space in 2024?
At this point, it was the Jags like a week ago, probably, but
it's actually still the Patriots.
Oh,
at $50 million.
They still have $50 million left per over the cap, I guess.
Per over the cap.
Wow.
Wild. Also, the Raiders are coming in at $28 million in cap space right now.
Ooh.
I read 20, but I wonder if they're calculated different ways, or I'm not sure. But yeah, nice to have some.
That stuff is so complicated.
Yeah, I really don't know.
No one's tracking it to the T. I find I've looked at a few different things. No one's got all the info up to date, 100%. But
hopefully the people in the building do. But yeah, not the ones publishing that on the internet.
Not even not necessarily true, because looking at the 49ers website official free agency tracker, it's 4 days behind of things they've actually done. It's kind of silly.
Well, do you think that plays into the 49ers lawsuit that's against them, that they have lost a pick for?
Goodness.
I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe they should be up to speed with how they're releasing this data.
Well, they were cooking the books.
So we did have a little drama
cooking the books
in the Bay. So as I understand it, there was some, as I saw it referred to, some accounting errors in how our cap spending was calculated for. I think it was for 2022 actually. I don't even think it was for last year. I think it was for 2 years ago. That, you know, we had some figures wrong and our reported cap spending was actually higher, or sorry, our reported cap spending was lower than what it actually was, or something like that. Funny enough, like the actual cap spending number wasn't over the cap or anything. We were still like well over the cap. So, like, I don't know. And the punishment was we lose our 2025 fifth round pick, which
that'll teach you.
Well, yes, because that is where we draft our all pros consistently. So that one hurts a little bit. Fred Warner, George Kittle, Talanoa Hufanga, all fifth round picks.
take a second instead.
Now, yeah.
Not that we don't get like 60 comp picks every year in the fifth round, but whatever. And then our fourth round pick this year is now at the end of the fourth round, or maybe it was our third round. Either way, it moves from 31st in that round to like 36th. So
get fucked.
Obviously, it was not such an egregious issue that they felt they needed to really bring the hammer down, because that seems a pretty tame punishment. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything truly nefarious going on.
If you say so.
Look, we don't have a ring the show for it, so who gives a shit?
It's hardware anyway.
Yeah.
It's Manfred.
Yeah, other than that, it's not a lot else going on in the Bay. I did see Travarius Ward is doing his damnedest to try to recruit Trey White to the Niners. They share an agent.
Visited Vegas too, yeah.
I don't know that he's visited us or if the Niners are even interested, but
No.
Ward is very interested, and I wouldn't hate it ultimately if we can afford it. That would be fun. I have my eyes on maybe bring Trent Brown back to the Bay, but we probably won't do that. Just have two ginormous human beings on either end of the line is a dream of mine, but I'll settle for any big men at this point.
Up in the draft, you'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll just trade him our 2025 fifth round pick. Easy. And we'll slide right up.
Not even worried. Easy.
What would happen in that instance if we'd already traded away that fifth round pick for something and we got taken away?
Ooh.
I imagine they wouldn't take it away. They'd take something different.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Yeah, if you're like the fine for this violation is a fifth rounder, like we don't have a fifth rounder.
All right, well, we're taking a sixth. Yeah.
Well, right, because that stuff gets like weirdly tracked though, right? Because we traded last year, right? Chase Claypool to the Bears, and the Bears had 2 second rounders. And like the second rounder that we got was higher than I don't know if it was like their original. So like that stuff does like there is a trail of where that pick came from, what it's worth when the trade is made. Like,
oh yeah, have you ever been on Wikipedia? That they track all of that. It's too funny.
No, I had no idea.
You can see, oh yeah, this like 8th pick in this year's draft has been traded 8 times between these teams for these players. It's all there.
Oh, that's cool.
But I got to imagine if it's like they wouldn't, if a team currently doesn't have the pick, they wouldn't try to take it. Or if like they had already traded for it, you're not going to be like, oh, we're taking that pick away from the team you traded it to. Like, that would be silly.
That would be silly.
Don't give Goodell any ideas at the same time, because if it writes headlines in the offseason,
right? Why not? You got to talk about it.
Yeah. But we've been saving your Steelers.
All right. Yeah. So we got a couple free agents to talk about. First one. Mike Williams signing with the Jets. Could have been a Steelers receiver.
Bummer. I mean, the Steelers do love a good receiver named Mike Williams. They are,
So Mike Williams not signing with Pittsburgh. Other free agency news around Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is not even free agency news. Former Steeler, now turned Lions, Cam Sutton on the run from the police.
Oh no.
Yeah. So unfortunate to who was our Giant super van from season? Who was that guy? Not Giants, Lions. Who's the Lions guy that was in the Discord?
Max B.
Max B. No, he was a foreign guy.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you remember him, Carl? Like, you knew him from Reddit? I will find anyway. Max B and the guy apologize. So Cam Sutton. Unfortunately, a warrant was issued for his arrest for battery and let me see. He's charged with domestic battery by strangulation. Unfortunate.
Jeez.
And he is currently the warrant's out for his arrest. They can't find him. He apparently has been ducking the police per the sheriff's county, the county sheriff, and they've exhausted all leads. His vehicle's a nearby home. He hasn't been there, and he's turned his phone off. So
we'll just camp out OTAs. He'll be there.
Actually, so unfortunate for that gentleman. So okay, Steelers free agent news starting on, I guess it was last Saturday. We have one Kenny Pickett getting traded away to his hometown, I guess Eagle-loving team, to the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 7ths. And then I think there's like a pick swap or whatever.
Not a lot.
So not a lot. I go back to, everyone quotes or has been quoting around like the national media, Mike Tomlin's, we want volunteers, not hostages. Seemingly, Kenny Pickett not very happy with the thought of bringing in some quarterback competition, and has moved on. Kind of a wonky development. Disappointing, I would say. I'm not a big the amount that you the draft capital that you spend on a player, right? Like it shouldn't mean like he was a first round pick, and I don't see the reason why, outside of, a combination of like ego, immaturity. We were talking about like Caleb Williams, right? And kind of like, having like kind of dictating terms or whatever. Your time to shine is over once you're selected by a team. And I know we've had a couple like holdouts and, kind of, swapping players with like the Chargers and the, with that Eli way back. And, you get a little bit of that, but Kenny Pickett is not, or has not demonstrated to have earned the, I guess, the ability to have this type of attitude.
Yeah, your draft stock is one thing, and yeah, that's great. You drafted first round, but how did you do when you actually had to play in the NFL? That's true. Who cares where you're drafted once the field results show what they show?
So, and again, what did the field result? That he went 14 wins, 7 losses, and 13 touchdowns, 13 picks. That's his stat line in Pittsburgh.
Picks is literally in his name. You shouldn't be surprised.
So I was kind of I'm a big fan of, it takes time, especially at the quarterback position, especially at the NFL level. You have to develop. You have to, if you are not like this like godsend product, chances are you're gonna need to get comfort in kind of whatever system you have. Again, he was in this Matt Canada system that got ousted out. He got injured. It came time to shine, and we start Mason Rudolph. Like I don't. So I don't want to say like that's like, it's nothing against the player outside of the coaching deciding what is our best chance to win the game today, right? Like we're not, no one, most you don't go into a game thinking, how is this going to hurt my player's ego in the off season? Right? Like you would be crazy. Like that's for GMs. That's for owners to decide. Like the coach's job is the head coach's job, right? And that's where like you make a decision to win that game.
Right.
And with that being said, I don't, again, just very disappointing kind of how the whole thing was handled. I think that he still had a lot to offer. I think he could have definitely continued his development under Tomlin and our staff, but he chose to think that he had some sort of, he was somehow disrespected by the team or something where. So you know what, I really applaud Tomlin and team. I have to assume they intentionally sent him to the Eagles because he was an Eagles fan. Like I could be 100% wrong, but like I don't know. Like they did him a solid, I guess. He seems happy, and that's like I don't know, kind of crazy. Like how this story has ended for our first round pick since Ben Roethlisberger, and this is like he's out in 2 seasons. See ya. And then, right, I thought we were off this wild ride, and then somehow we're talking about trading getting some sevenths in exchange for Kenny Pickett, and this deal all of a sudden comes across with the Bears to get Fields, once former first rounder, in for a sixth and I guess a conditional fourth depending on snaps played.
Yeah.
And so now it's like
Wilson's the assumed starter, so I don't know what that snap count.
Exactly. So, and that's where like things are now like, I did not expect in the last 5 weeks that I would be on a quarterback carousel of goodbye Mason Rudolph, goodbye Kenny Pickett, goodbye Mitch Trubisky, hello Russell Wilson, hello Justin Fields, hello? What is happening? What is this Omar Khan led Steelers that I'm seeing? Because this is wild, unprecedented, uncharted Steelers territory. And I mean, I see no reason why to not be excited about, right? I lost a first rounder to develop on my bench. I've now gained a first rounder to develop on my bench. And we'll see. I think I'm kind of excited about having a quarterback room where I don't think Russell Wilson is any sort of long-term answer. I mean, nobody does at age 35, right? Given his play the last 2 seasons, and being able to run with what he's able to offer, what he could potentially develop Justin Fields into. Like we can see what we got with him. So yeah, what's going to be crazy, or the biggest thing is with the first rounder, you get that 5th-year option, and there's no way we're giving Justin Fields $23 million this offseason, next offseason. I don't think, right? I can't imagine a world where Justin Fields has shown that he's worth picking that option up. So I don't know.
He's entering his 4th year this year.
Yeah, so
you would have to pick it up this offseason, though.
Correct.
Oh. No.
Would it be this off? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
you have to pick it up before they start their 4th year. You have to.
Then you are correct. Okay, so I'm sorry. I can't
see them like doing that, but maybe they do as like a way to just like hold on to this potential developmental guy, and $23 million if you're gonna roll with Fields as the potential future, not a bad deal.
That's funky timing. I was gonna say, like, if you could pick it up the year after and say, like, okay, he's progressing sure. in our quarterback room, yeah.
Right, you have to pick it up before, though. That's the kick.
So I bring up that aspect only because next, like we're talking about, right, like salary cap. Like now's the time that you talk about it. This time next off season, we only have 25 players under contract for 2025. We have $110 million in cap space next off season. So, I say that because depending on what happens from the quarterback, right now is the time that we're seeing kind of the stage be set for some quarterback, accommodate quarterback competition, what this offense might look like, things like that. Like there could be a world where some crazy financial moves could be made because we have so much room in the future. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's very exciting. I'm really excited to kind of see the product that we get both out of. Like, I feel like everyone has stopped talking about the fact that we got Russell Wilson, and everyone's more excited about this our backup Justin Fields. And I'm fine with it. Like, I think it's I'm also one of these people where I'm just kind of excited just to like, what the hell are we gonna get?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not super high on Fields, but I do think he's a definite improvement over Kenny Pickett. I think he has a lot more to offer at the position of quarterback than Pickett ever did. So, there's certainly potential there. And I don't think Chicago did him a whole lot of favors because they did the same exact crap with Mitch Trubisky and like ruined him. And I hope they didn't completely ruin Fields. He seems like a better athlete than Trubisky even. So there's definitely potential there. I do find it funny that your QB room, I don't know if you've got a third on the roster right now. I don't think you do.
We currently do not.
You're paying a total of like $5 million for both your QBs.
Yep.
Which some teams are paying that much just for their QB2.
We were literally going to pay Mitch $10 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, our QB room is about that small in price point too, like in the not. But yeah, you're doing pretty good there, I think, with those two guys for $5 million.
Yeah, that's not a bad. You were talking about again the cap and all things being balanced with your team.
Yeah.
Steelers spending $158 million in defense this season, currently $64 million on offense. So not even concerned at the moment.
What's that special teams budget?
$7 million, 7.8. Which again, we did sign Miles Killebrew back. I did forget to mention that, I think 2 podcasts ago, and then a lot of that being eaten up by our kicker Boswell for $3 million. So yeah, kind of a wild time. Oh, I'm sorry. While I've got in my Steelers rant, one last thing. Editing from last episode, I made a comment about the 2017 and 2018 drafts with Deontay Johnson getting moved on and Alex Highsmith being the only draftee from those 2 years. I was off in my years. It was actually 2019 and 2020. So we have no one on our team from the 2019 draft. We have one player from the 2020 draft. So just to give an idea as to how recently these drafts were and how poorly we did in scouting that talent. So small correction from last week. Thank you, Jesse, for some cap conversation.
Wow.
Packers fan, super fan, if you will. Had to bring that up. So anyway, there you go.
Going back to Fields real quick, I feel like his situation is so funny because like if he's still the backup. I think it's a great backup quarterback. Just throw that out there, like chance to develop and change the scenery and all that. Like great move, all in all. But if he is still set to be the backup, like if Russ has a decent year, do you extend him? do you pay a little premium to keep him around? Like if Russ shits the bed, do you just throw him QB1 money? Like here's $35 million. Assuming he plays decently. Like this year is going to be fun, but like how are they going to continue that forward next year? I feel like it's going to be almost even more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with what the Steelers coaching staff sees out of Fields over the course of the year, right? If they see enough of Fields to go, okay, we can move on from Russ and we can like try and keep Fields around, or if they get a look at Fields up close and go, nah, this guy ain't it.
Yeah, I guess it's real cheap to bring him in and take a look and figure it out from there. But options, seems fun.
Certainly fun. Speaking of options, I am hoping to see quite a few different option plays with both of those guys on the field. That could be cool.
Yeah, make him the new Taysom Hill.
There we go.
That's the joke I've seen. Some gadget plays out there.
I'm all for
it. Let's see here, just real quick. Justin Fields, through his 3 years, 40 TDs to 30 interceptions, so a better ratio and way more. I think he's got an extra year, but still.
And obviously the athleticism that he brings to the table.
Yeah, that's strictly passing. Looking at this, so
There you go.
Yeah, a lot to be excited about in the Steel City.
Yeah. I think I honestly am more nervous than like what like. Right. I like my consistency.
Well, yeah,
right?
you had the same quarterback for 20 years. Like, of course.
I'm like. This is a strange feeling. Like I'm waiting for people to tell me how to feel.
Same quarterback for 20 years and 3 head coaches in 60 years. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be different, and some people live for that. But good different, bad different.
I mean, something had to change. So I feel like, if nothing else, this is a step in the right direction.
I agree.
Like we said, you can't get a whole lot worse than what you were dealing with last year. So,
yeah,
a lot of room for improvement and making what seems like good moves to improve. So,
yeah. And now again, we've just spent the last 10 minutes or so talking about quarterbacks. Do we maybe want to dive into this? Carl, do you want to introduce this chart here? Because I think we can garner a little bit more, get a little bit more juice out of this quarterback conversation, if you will.
Yeah, it's Jack Reinhardt. I've never even heard of this dude on Twitter, but made a cool graph. It's one of the stats nerds kind of plotting stuff that shows, I think, something that everybody probably knows. Maybe it's common sense, maybe it's not. But at any rate, he's charting how many sacks quarterbacks take versus their production on non-sack dropbacks where they do not get sacked. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, basically, if you take the sacks out of their stats and just chart them, all the regular passes and whatnot, it turns out the better quarterbacks don't get sacked that often. Even if you're not counting the plays where they get sacked.
Per dropback,
yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I think the argument is that sacks might be an offensive line stat. The stats nerds love to say sacks are a quarterback stat, and they try to find different ways to prove that. So it's kind of like, okay, good quarterbacks don't get sacked, even not accounting for their offensive line and everything else they have going on. So it's kind of cool to see. It's kind of an interesting thought. But I'm not sure, if there's anything to conclude here apart from, Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, Sam Howell, some of these quarterbacks, not great.
Justin Fields
getting hit.
I mean, I just
low end of that.
That's, I guess, the big thing that I kind of wanted to touch on here is the quarterbacks that are currently on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster are again in the company of Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, Sam Howell, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. So everyone's like, oh, like exciting times in Pittsburgh. But it's also like, let's not remember who these guys are, or at least who they were in 2023.
Yeah, especially Wilson, a dude that loves to hold on to the ball. Takes a lot of sacks. Like, especially as he's getting older, and maybe he's not as slippery as he used to be. And
he's definitely not.
Yeah, not a huge surprise, I don't think.
And Justin Fields, from the limited times I've watched him play, like, yes, he also holds onto the ball a really long time, kind of like how Russell Wilson does. But it was like Justin Fields, from what I watched, is doing it with an express intent of trying to get up the field himself, and it doesn't always work. So whereas Russ is always looking down the field. That's his thing, right? He's trying to find an open Doug Baldwin down there and chuck it up, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the one thing that I will say to, and right, because you can paint stats to kind of tell any sort of picture. One of the things that, like, obviously, right, where this just brings in like quarterback play, and I feel like, right, they're saying that sacks are a quarterback stat. I hate that. I feel like, again,
really,
like, well, I feel like. The defense literally gets no credit for anything now. Like they don't even get credit for the own stat for on their side of the field, right? Like that to me is kind of crazy. And like the only thing, like, with looking at something like this is, right, like just taking into consideration kind of, right, again, you mentioned like offensive line or like things like that. Like Lamar Jackson is like way above this line, but he's like if I were to look at this graph, right, I could objectively or subjectively say, right, I would prefer to have Derek Carr or Geno Smith to Lamar Jackson based off of this graph.
Yeah.
And that's like, what? Jordan Love, I'm taking over Lamar Jackson. Again, 2023 season, it's not like I'm only basing it off this data set here. And so I think it can have like a discussion, but I don't like the idea of that we're trying to say that from a team that as a defensive player, because right, the quarterback, depending on most circumstances, can just throw the ball away, right? Like you are in a certain set of circumstances where your intentional grounding is going to come into effect, so that you don't take that sack. So I do feel like, while yes, I do feel like quarterback play can have an effect on where a defensive player may be trying to anticipate them to go, or right based on their quarterback tendencies. I don't like this idea of like, right, offensive lines can't be taken into account, or like the defensive players that are able to make these sacks, because they're all part of that equation. So yeah. I don't know. I that's just kind of like my gripe with data that kind of like paints this type of picture, whereas there's obviously a whole lot more to the story of what goes into a quarterback getting sacked, right? Because there's a lot of elements at play.
Yeah, I mean, I think what this graph suggests, I agree with you, John, is just that not that sacks are strictly a quarterback stat, but that quarterbacks play a significantly weighted role in the frequency of sacks. Like, yes, there are other factors at play. Obviously, offensive line is certainly something you can't discount, and the level of competition that they play against also has to be factored in, right? But I think this graph definitely, I mean, I would like to see more than just one season. I'd like to see it over the course of a few seasons to see if these trends are consistent or if they're kind of all over the place. But I think at least what this is suggesting is that there's some weight to be had in how a quarterback plays and those sacks. So, yeah, there's a lot of factors, and I think, I don't know, if we want to like find blame for a sack, there's a lot of people. You got to look at every individual play to see, like, did the left guard just get the brakes beat off him by Aaron Donald, and there was nothing that quarterback could do, regardless of how efficient he might be. Like,
sure.
Which real quick aside, well done, Aaron Donald, on a fantastic career. He's since retired since our last episode.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
They're
man, what a
best D tackle to ever do it.
God, just incredible! What a I don't know. You can't ask for more.
Credit to him for all of the sacks he got. He earned every last one of them.
Every single one. Yeah. Sorry.
No, to go back to Lamar Jackson, I think it really makes a good point on this graph and what we're looking at, because I think on one hand, like, yeah, he's in the middle and it's not great, but if you look at just the vertical axis on EPA, like, he's third in the league.
Yeah, sure.
In efficiency, like, he's doing pretty damn. He takes a lot of sacks despite it, but he's doing great. But I think part of what they're trying to say is, like, comparing some of these quarterbacks, it's like, okay, one of your linemen misses a block, you're under pressure. Some of these guys are just going to say, okay, I gotta go throw hot, I gotta get rid of the ball. Like, where can I go? Right. And some of these guys are going to be like, I'm the playmaker, I'm tucking it, I'm taking off, I want to make something happen. And obviously, Lamar Jackson pretty damn good at that. Yeah. But I think it's trying to illustrate that, like, maybe that ability to tuck it and run, as sexy as it is, exciting, dynamic, all that stuff, it's not as efficient as just knowing where to throw the goddamn ball. Because passing is just more efficient than running, like period.
Sure.
And so that's why I think it's kind of like, these exciting qualities, and like, or even, prime Russ Wilson 10 years ago, is maybe not the ideal way to play quarterback, or the correct or the best way to play it. So that's what people are trying to say. So I think the other thing you talk about, like, sacks or a stat, like, obviously the defense is the ones making it happen. But yeah, it's more about trying to, like, point out on the offense who's responsible for it. I think a lot of people are saying, like, oh, quarterbacks can't control how much pressure they face, but they can definitely control what they do in the face of it. And I think the better players, even the statues like Tom Brady, and some of those guys, or even like Kirk
one of the
Cousins,
best.
know how to step up and dodge it, without being crazy fast or agile, or just take the hit and get back up like Cousins does.
Sure.
And that's some of the difference. But yeah, no, this is kind of a cool look at what's
Cousins
going
is
on.
way up there on that list too. Same with Jared Goff, who's like the least mobile quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah, crazy efficient and doesn't take sacks, and I think that's a big deal. Sacks.
Well,
sacks
again, we're talking about efficiency, right? Who's at the very top here?
Brock Purdy.
There you go.
Most efficient quarterback in the league. By him, it's not close.
And it's by not and it's not to discredit Brock Purdy, but again, like, I mean, when you're literally sitting behind a gorilla, like how safe,
He doesn't take any sacks from the left side, at least. But
so I mean, there's just like a lot to play, I think, into and that's what makes football so fun, right? Like into that efficiency.
Yeah. There's 11 guys out there. Yeah, any one of them could screw it up. I mean, a corner blitz that a wide receiver is supposed to pick up and doesn't, or a running back supposed to pick up and doesn't. Is that on the quarterback? That's an extra guy that's being thrown in there.
I mean, the infamous, God damn it, Darnold! So,
but he made a play. This guy missed a block and he still made the play.
He's that's Peyton Manning.
He is a good. There you go.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. Yep. We're gonna get one of those Peyton or one of those, one of the Manning kids.
Arch can come out next year, I think.
One of them's got to be available. Oh man, if there was only a team that's looking for a quarterback next season.
The Patriots, congratulations.
No!
Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Actually, not wrong. Shoot me in the head now.
We'll find a way to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, God can't let that happen. That's
no.
That's not football justice, okay?
That is not football justice.
No. He'll go to the Chargers. That's what I want to see.
I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, neither is Donald retiring. We didn't bring that up yet. I was saving it, but that's probably the biggest player news of the week.
Yeah. As a Niner fan, not sad to see him go, but as a football fan, I certainly am.
Well, again,
You've
made a really good point about like
he's just a guy against the Niners, like his whole career.
He is just a guy against the. Who knows how they got that figured out?
We're just in his head somehow. I don't understand it, but
wait, what was the other? There was another tweet you said.
Oh, it was Kyler Murray. It was just like he just tweeted something like "Thank God it is retirement." A lot of support from offensive players around the league, like, "Yeah, happy retirement. Good to see you go."
Yeah,
that's too good.
I mean,
what his career was like 8-time all pros, first teams.
8-time all pros, defensive rookie of the year,
defensive player of the year like 5 times.
3 times. Was never not in the Pro Bowl. So literally nominated every year of his career, including his rookie season.
Super Bowl ring.
Got the ring. Got the hardware.
2 Super Bowl appearances even.
Yeah, I don't know what else you could ask. I mean, just absolute dominance. People will be talking about his double team rate for until like the end of time.
Yeah, and teams have been just hunting for the next Aaron Donald for the last 10 years, and nobody has found him.
No one's
come close. I mean, Chris Jones might be the closest, but even Chris Jones he's not built like Aaron Donald.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, find a good 3-tech at 280 pounds. Like what?
It's 6 foot. Yeah. Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's one.
Yeah. He'll be missed for sure.
Yeah. So fun to watch. So now, I guess let me ask you though. We have been able to live in an era where we have got to see a prime Aaron Donald and a prime JJ Watt. Right? Some defensive studs that have been in the league in our lifetime.
Yeah, certainly.
Who do you take in their prime?
JJ Watt.
Yeah.
He was just an absolute physical mismatch, like a physical freak. Like he's like the Shaq of D-lines. He's just so huge and so fast and so down. Like JJ Swat was his nickname. He was literally like swatting passes down like every 10th pass. It was insane.
He's invented drills to simulate how good he was at that. To practice for their upcoming games. Like, it's not even kidding.
That's hilarious. I did not know that.
No, in my mind, it's like they're both super versatile. Like JJ Watt would go inside and Donald would go outside at sometimes. But I just think, yeah, if obviously some of the best in their positions, but to have JJ Watt to be that freak on the edge means his pressure is just getting home that much more. And I think that's kind of why I give him the edge in this.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Unfortunately, sorry, we love Aaron Donald. Don't get me wrong, but prime JJ Watt, I don't think was like those 2 seasons.
He's a game
was
breaker.
It what,
Just
2014, 2015?
Yeah,
like there was never a game that it's not like that he wasn't the guy. Like he got robbed from that MVP from Aaron Rodgers because the league is a bunch of pussies, and I'm going to call it that. Because he 100% did, like that was the time.
And he caught a few touchdowns that season.
He literally, you can't stop him. Like he's on all sides of the ball. Like, are you kidding me?
He was like a Gronk level player, just an absolute physical freak that could back it all up. And yeah, it was insane to watch.
Gronk doesn't have any sacks on his resume. That's all I'm saying.
I think
that's all I'm saying.
I think he could have got one.
I guess he could have
against the sad right tackle. I think Gronk probably could have gotten
home. I love this timeline.
Don't get any ideas.
Yeah. I hear you guys. No, I do think that prime JJ Watt having to see. I could say
like
I
prime
tell my
healthy
kids
JJ
about that.
Yeah. I mean, this is assuming JJ's healthy the whole time. Obviously, Aaron Donald was healthy. I don't think he missed a season. So
no.
Any significant time in any season, really.
I mean, the human body could not withstand like that. That's what I mean. The amount of explosive power that JJ was able to generate. I mean, you just couldn't contain it. He literally just like shredded his insides for those seasons. And like even when he was like hurt and still like, I mean, he was still productive. Obviously, not the star player that he was. But I will say, yeah, like you're like. Aaron Donald never had that problem because he was just always consistent in what you were going to get on the field. And it was just, just miserable. So for the offense, the play was stellar. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, will absolutely be missed.
I think that leads us nicely in a little bit of trivia. If you guys are ready to wrap things up, if not, don't let me.
I am ready.
All right.
Did you have yours or did you want? Because I've got trivia too.
I've got a nice Aaron Donald themed trivia.
Ooh. Oh, that's okay. That's way better than mine.
Yeah, let's do that. Very, very topical. You may have seen it. There's a tweet going around. But like you mentioned, 10 seasons, 10 Pro Bowls for Aaron Donald. There's 2 other players in the NFL to play 9 seasons or more and make the Pro Bowl in every single one of them. Who are those 2 players?
Or Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice?
I mean, that's a fair guess.
I feel like he was
always
good.
Played 9 seasons or more.
They played 9 seasons or more and made the Pro Bowl in every single one of them.
See, I would say Patrick Willis, but he only played 8 seasons.
Ooh.
And I know he made the Pro Bowl in all of them. So I think he falls just short. That's Hall of Famer Patrick Willis, by the way.
Let's make sure
he's getting in this year. Congrats, P. Willie. 9 seasons or more and made the Pro Bowl in all of them. That's tough. That's a tough feat to do. It's no wonder there's only been 2.
Yeah, a total of 3.
Jerry Rice is a great guess because I don't know how you don't just put him in the Pro Bowl. Is it consecutive Pro Bowls too? Like all 9 years? Like in a row? Does it not say that?
Well, it's every single season they played, so yeah.
Oh, I got you.
For at least 9 seasons.
Yeah, the career was 9 seasons minimum, but they made the Pro Bowl in every season they played.
Well, like we were just talking about, and maybe I'm just too biased to like.
Oh, in every season they played, yeah, okay. So they would have to come in like even as a rookie and make the Pro Bowl.
Correct. Yep.
So that might be the.
And not get hurt.
Yeah, that too.
Man.
So it's probably not Jerry because he did have an ACL later in his career and missed some time and probably did not make the Pro Bowl that year.
But would it have been after 9 seasons? Because he played for like 30.
Yes, but this player made it in every single one of their seasons, and at least 9 of them.
Oh, it's every single. Okay.
Yeah, they played at least 9, but they made it in every single season they played.
I missed that. Gosh. Okay, then not Jerry. I'm just trying to think of like recent longevity studs. What about like a Tony Gonzalez? Was he ever hurt? I feel like he would just churn seasons out, just Pro Bowl seasons.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if he was hurt. I didn't pay enough attention, but
me neither.
I mean, he tapered off a bit towards the end of his career, so I don't know that he would have made it. This is a really hard trivia, Carl.
That's a real tough one. I don't
appreciate you springing this up. I have not had time to prepare. Megatron, how many seasons did he play?
I don't think he made 9.
I don't think he did.
He didn't? Wow.
I don't think he did. I think his career was shorter than that.
Poor guy.
Was there ever a season? Oh yeah. Yeah, Brady's ACL. I was trying to think of something like that where like again injury quarterback. I'm
trying to think maybe like a linebacker or something. Like Urlacher or something like that. Or maybe Urlacher's not a bad guess.
9 seasons, 9 pro. I mean, he was a stud when he came out.
Yeah. Maybe even like I think his career is too short too. But Kuechly, I don't think he hit 9 seasons either.
He didn't. No, he didn't. He saved his brain. Oh my God! Yeah. All right. Well, I think we threw some names.
I'm a shot in the dark. I'm gonna say Urlacher. Why not?
I like it.
There is no prize, by the way. So.
Oh,
all right.
There is a.
Well, we'll have to tune in. Yeah.
John, you sticking with Jerry Rice or what?
No, I'm going with Brian Urlacher.
John.
I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna run with it. I mean, I feel like you choose the best player of all time, and you're not gonna. It's never a bad guess.
There you go. I like it.
Okay.
Well, listeners got to stay tuned. We'll reveal this next week. Everyone's gonna have to wait. And then I don't know if you have any plans for next week. Hopefully, bring a guest on, maybe talk about some other teams.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Something like
I like it.
Also, you know what starts next weekend that we might be able to preview?
UFL?
The UFL starts.
Let's go! The Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah.
Is that who I'm a fan of? I can't remember.
Teams changed.
We'll have to do it again. We'll do a draft.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Well, it's been fun. Hope you guys enjoyed listening, and we'll catch you all probably next week.
We'll see ya.
And we are underway.